Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's session. We're live and loud. If you're here watching, type in hashtag live, or if you're catching the replay later, type in hashtag replay. I'm Nadine Parsons from Golden Key, and tonight I'm joined with a very special guest, Joe. Joe, how are you tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Now, Joe, you're one of the lovely members of Positive Property, and you've been very, very generous to give us your time tonight. And I believe you gave up a basketball game for this. Is that right?
That is correct. I sacrificed my basketball tonight for you, Nadine. So
Oh, thank you, thank you. And here we are matching white shirts as well.
Like
this is
didn't even plan it.
Perfect, cool. Jump in the chat, guys. Let us know if you can hear us, if we're being received loud and clear, and pop in some questions, because tonight we're talking about how to get an extra $1 million from the bank in 2024. So at the moment, interest rates are at an all-time high. I know there's some speculations about what the rates are going to do in the next 12 to 18 months. And to be honest, from my side of things, we're seeing that the interest rates are having a significant impact on borrowing capacities across the board. So, Joe, we did a bit of a plan with you, and somehow we were successful in getting an extra $1 million from the bank. So, well done. How exciting.
Oh, well done to you. You worked your magic and restructured some things around, and
Yeah, cool. So, Joe, give us a bit of a, insight, who you are, what is it that you do, and your experience so far with Positive and the Circle of Safety.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm a small business owner. We have drive-through coffee shops up here.
Beautiful.
And yeah, so far I've had nothing but positive experiences with the program. For me, it's the Circle of Safety, which has helped me a lot, because I always thought I could do it myself, being a bit of a cowboy. And that's probably how I got all these structures so wrong. And then I hit that wall trying to progress.
Yeah, cool. I guess that's one of the things I wanted to ask you, because, Joe, when you came to me, I mean, you already had a couple of properties under your belt already. I think you had 3 investments plus the brand new owner-occupier, which is very exciting. Beautiful property. What was it, I guess, that made you join Positive Property in the end, given you already had the portfolio underway?
Yeah, so I think at the time there were 3 investment properties. You're right. Yep. Earlier last year, we actually looked at buying a 4th, but the bank said no, you can't afford it, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, I've got these 3 investment properties that they're all positively cash flowing, and it looked all good. There was equity there, and I couldn't understand, why we couldn't go out and get this other property.
Yeah.
And then I was on Instagram one day, and I came across a video from Christina randomly. I'd never heard of them before.
Yeah.
And and then one thing led to another. I was like, oh, it sounds like she knows what she's talking about. And then I got onto George, and from there it made sense. And I knew that along the way I had my loan structures and that were all set up wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I remember one of the first chats we had, and I remember you saying to me, I'm a bit confused what I've got or what I'm doing. I need help. And, it's interesting. You just said then you went to look at buying your 4th investment property and the bank said no. Yet tonight we're going to talk about how we got you an extra $1 million borrowing capacity. You had strong borrowing already, being self-employed. You're in a great position, but we were able to stretch that a little bit further. So, it goes to highlight why going to the bank is not always the best game plan. And, we've had some fun with you dealing with the bank direct.
Oh. We're not going to name names. We've had
we won't name banks at all. But I think you just, you touched on wanting the circle of safety and how important it is. And, I guess from your experience, has the circle of safety made your life easier thus far?
Yes, it has. Previously, I really just had Google to go on. And, with Google, there's a myriad of answers out there, and a whole, different ways to find the answer. But with the circle of safety, it's been very helpful, and helpful to get me on the right track.
Yeah, perfect.
I went to the bank and did whatever they told me.
Yeah. Cool. Let's talk about then how, I guess, we got the extra $1 million from the bank, and multiple banks, not just one, multiple banks, which is great.
Correct.
So you had 3 investment properties, and we looked at restructuring them. Our original game plan for you was to look at the owner-occupier property, which you just finished building, and we're going to look at trying to restructure that, get you a better interest rate, but more so get the offset account, which, George promotes a lot. But then we changed tact because you kind of threw me a spanner and you said, you rang me and said, I want to sell a property. And then suddenly you had sold the property. You went to contract and did that. So I love working like that. So what made you want to sell that property, or what was it that kind of gave you the inkling or the idea to do that?
So I really wanted to knock down the debt on the owner occupier. The investment loans were paying for themselves, and the owner occupier, it was around $900K, the loan.
Yeah.
And the repayments were, I think, $6K a month, or just under $6K a month.
Yeah.
And I knew I had to just knock that down as much as possible, and focus on getting that down. Yeah. And if that meant losing an investment property, then I just thought it was the best option.
Yeah. And I think out of the properties you chose more so to sell, was one of the properties that were actually unencumbered, had no debts attached to it. We used that as somewhat as the sacrificial lamb. And
then that's right.
Because any profits you made off that sale were pure profits, which was great. So I think also that was a property that wasn't necessarily bringing back the best results for you as far as rent was concerned, but also it was a property and area where you could really capitalize on the growth and get maximum profits in your pocket. And so I think using that strategy was a great idea to then use a lot of those sale proceeds we reduced the owner occupied. We're just under the 300,000 mark, I think, roughly.
Yeah, mid-200s now, I think. So
yeah. And so by doing that, we almost halved, if not more than halved, your owner-occupier repayments, which was huge.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, massive. So, I mean, one excellent strategy from cash flow position, cash is king, but also to increase your borrowing capacity, because by reducing your owner-occupier debt by so much, I mean, owner-occupier debt's classed as bad debt in the eyes of the bank. And so to reduce that, we're able to maximize your borrowing capacity a little bit more. Yeah,
correct.
And then we did phase 2, which was to refinance one of your current properties, your current investment properties, and flip that over to interest only. We got the offset account, but we also released equity on that, meaning we got extra tax deductions. And again, negative gearing applied, and in the eyes of the bank, stretch that borrowing capacity a little bit more. So, so many pieces of the puzzle, but really off the back of you making that one decision to sell the property. So, how good is that?
That's right. It opened up everything for our future. So
yeah. Was it hard to make the decision to get rid of the property as it was, given there was no loans on it and it was bringing, pretty good rental return?
Yeah, we're getting $620 a week for it, just straight cash flow. So it was really difficult, and especially with everything I've been taught and learned, it's like, you shouldn't really give away such a high cash flowing asset.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really wanted to knock down the owner occupied debt. That was just, it was too much.
It was. I remember, we had a conversation and you're saying you just finished building it. Beautiful property. I mean, you even took the valuer. You're so proud of it. You took the valuer for a spin in the buggy.
The golf cart.
But, beautiful property. But we needed to then, of course, bring the cash flow back in check, and selling that property was a great way to do that. So good strategy there. Got a question here about rates. Are rates going to stay high for long? Oh, this is the $1 million question, and I wish I had a crystal ball. There's been a lot of talk in the media lately. I didn't want to bring too much attention to this, but a lot of talk lately about whether or not interest rates will rise this year. Do you have any thoughts on that, Joe? Do you have any inside predictions?
This is no, I don't. I have no inside predictions. This is your area.
good question around rates.
I've read as well that they're probably going to go up again. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, the guy, he's the chief economic advisor for one of Australia's biggest banks. He was the most on point in 2023 as far as rate predictions went. He came out to say rates will rise this year and could rise 3 times. So, it's, to be honest, no one really knows within the industry. The guy that was most on point last year, you think he might know what he's talking about. So there is a potential for rates to rise. Inflation rose last week, so rates may follow. So, yeah, good question there, though, from Mick. So thank you for that. Any other questions, let us know. Otherwise, we do have to run off to our other group. So if you've got any last-minute questions, drop them in the chat and we can answer them. Otherwise, we'll be inside our members group very, very soon to break down our strategy a little bit more and to really highlight it. 2 cuts this year, September, December, 3 next year. Yeah, Nick, good question, good comment there. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. All the big banks are still predicting rates will drop, so it's kind of anyone's guess, to be honest, at the minute. I do think the rates, the RBA are meeting next week. So we will see. I predict they'll hold next week. I don't expect any increases or decreases next week. But, yeah, the next half of the year could be very interesting for everybody. So, all right.
Buckle on in.
That's it. I mean, the good thing about rates at the moment, everyone worries about high interest rates. I mean, it comes back to cash flow. So if you've got the cash flow to cover those repayments, and that's where getting good rental yields and the rest are important. If you can cover those repayments, you can get them all back at tax time anyway, because any interest-only repayment on an investment property is completely tax deductible. So make sure that you've got the cash flow to cover it. And if you do, fantastic. The rate rises shouldn't concern you too much because that's bigger tax deductions. So question here for you, Joe. Hi, Joe. How long did you hold the investment property for before selling it?
Yeah, right. So originally we lived in the property. We built the house. That was 2013. We lived in it for 7 years before buying the land for our owner-occupier. And it happened just before COVID. So our build actually took 2.5 years almost to actually, just with construction and things like that. It was just a long time. So I actually moved in with my in-laws for that time, which we saved a lot of money, okay? And we, helped knock down some debts. But, and then it was an investment property until January this year.
Yeah, perfect. And I think you just highlighted, one of the things about being a member with Positive Property is about kind of doing whatever it takes. And so, you sacrifice moving in with the in-laws to help the cash flow, to pay down the debt, and therefore you could sell the property with no debts associated to it and therefore got the profits.
And we didn't think we'd be with the in-laws for that long, to be honest. We were hoping the build would be a year or something, but anyway. We do these things.
That's right. Beautiful.
But,
cool.
Yeah, that helped that we lived in it as well. It helped with our capital gains.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, good point on that one as well.
Yeah.
All right. Any last minute comments, Joe, before we jump into our other group?
No, nothing.
Beautiful.
I'm ready to go.
Excellent. Cool. All right. Hopefully you took a bit out of this tonight, guys. If you watch the replay later on, type in #replay. But otherwise, we're going to jump off and we're going to jump into the other group. So I'll see you on the other side.
Ciao.